I want to check out this developer backyard and read through it, mostly because I think these are cool. Even if, you know, for whatever reason you're not interested in Strive that much, I think any developer doing this is quite interesting, especially because the game's been delayed, so it lets everybody get some insight into what they're doing. Even if some of the changes they're writing is like, hey, you know, we hear you, we're not changing shit. What's a Roman cancel? As the name implies, a Roman cancel allows you to cancel your character's move. What about the Roman part? You can use it in many situations to get different benefits as you make your next move in exchange for meter. Yeah, if you don't play much Guilty Gear, you can cancel moves or normals or whatever with a Roman cancel to extend combos, to cover yourself. You know, you throw a fireball on the screen, you RC, and then you can do something. You swing with a normal and then you RC, or you do something and then you RC to run up and get pressure, right? Like there's plenty of things where you can just cancel out of whatever you're doing. It gives you kind of flexibility in the game and allows you to be very like creative and spontaneous about the decision making you do and really react to whatever the situation is accordingly. It creates a lot of scrambles and it creates unique situations that test your knowledge of what's happening quite often. Roman cancels in this game are interesting because they like slow down time when you do them, right? And you can position yourself when you Roman cancel, and there's also the fast Roman cancel as well. Judging the distance between you and your opponent is key to mastering Roman cancels. When activated as you hit the opponent, the shockwave will cause the opponent to bounce up slowly, making it easy to combo. You see, when this hits you, you start to slowly like bounce, and this is the radius of what will slow you down or not. So this, you know, allowed him to extend the combo. The shockwave comes out even when you're not attacking. So in this case, the shockwave doesn't blow the opponent back, but it does temporarily slow them down. You can take advantage of this slowdown to beat your opponent's attack or make good use of moves that are usually too slow on startup. So when you Roman cancel and stuff too, you see what your opponent's doing. And so like if you Roman cancel something on a whiff and you see your opponent is jumping, you anti-air. If you see your opponent's hitting a button, you uppercut. If you see your opponent's fireballing, you can, you know, do your projectile invincible move. It gives you that advantage, right? You see how that allowed him to see what Kai was doing and then answer accordingly? And just anti-air. He's like, oh yeah, he's in the air, I'll just anti-air. Yeah, see, he had time to whiff a normal there and still do it. That's a good example of showing like using Roman cancels, not only just for combos, but for utility, right? Whiffs a button, still has time to block it. So they're just showing a bunch of uses. These are pretty common though, right? These are kind of very similar to the way you would use Roman cancels in other gear games anyway. Like right there, he went for the nitro, whatever the fuck that thing's called, nitro thruster or whatever it is, and he saw that it whiffed. So then he was able to just like RC and then punish because of it. It's really good. This is the new way to use a Roman cancel. This is like the replacement for dead angle, right? This is something that's new. It like knocks them back and slows them down. You don't get like a combo out of it or anything, but like you get to like act first, right? That's like the point of it. I think that's pretty cool. You see how it hits him out of the air and it knocks him away? You just Roman cancel while on block stun, and then you get like a knockback that's like also a slowdown. The slowdown from Roman cancels lasts until the clock shown above the character's head disappears. Also, if you input the motion for a dash just before the Roman cancel activates, you will move swiftly in that direction during Roman cancels. Yeah, this is one of those things, once you start to use it with different things, it was really strong. Like in the corner, I really like doing stuff, like doing whatever, like Roman canceling like Gunflame or something and sliding backwards to see what they were gonna do. You see that? So that was like air dash cancel, Roman cancel, and then sliding down. I don't think anybody's getting mixed up with that one, but it was an interesting idea. I think maybe going back to the front would have been better. That is a great example of using the dash to slide through the projectile from the Roman cancel. You see this? This is the other one that people figured out very quickly, is using the like slide forward on something like Gunflame RC and then getting a command throw out of it. This is really good. Also, a Roman cancel itself can be canceled with special moves directly after activation only. This is like the quick RC, at least, I don't know if there's another name for it. This can speed up your offense and allow for follow-up attacks to make good use of the starter move. So this is something that people were using a lot with confirms to the Vortex. This is something that people were using with Soul especially. See, this is an example of the quick RC. So if you just immediately do a special move after, you don't get the slowdown or anything like that. You just do the special move. So that allows you to do different combos or convert in different ways and stuff, which is good. One more cancel or rapid cancel. I don't know. I just call it quick RC. How do you perform an RC? You just hit 3 attacks. You can just combo off of Fafnir regularly in this, but maybe you get different routes based on it. Cheating. That shit is sick. These special techniques can be used simultaneously as well. Are we gonna see the slide and the quick one? That's pretty cool. Like sliding forward here with the gun flame. You see how much momentum he kept on the ground? That shit's cool. Anyway, so those are some examples of how you can use RC. And I think people were digging into that stuff during the beta a little bit, maybe not all the way, but that was definitely on people's minds. Question 1, the UI moving as the health bar decreases. What is the idea behind this? They talked about this last time. I don't like this. I want the HUD elements to be static because you just know where they are. Our goal was to make it so the player could check their health bar and burst gauge in a single glance. As a result, however, the player could no longer look at a fixed place on screen to check their gauge, meaning they had to search for it. We've heard your feedback and reconsidered our thinking, so we're planning to change the UI's movement. I'm hype about this. You don't want it disappearing on you, right? You don't want your burst gauge or your wrist gauge to be fucking Houdini. You just look and all of a sudden it's like naked on a building and you're like, how did it get up there? And then you're like, do you guys see this? And you look again and he disappeared. You're like, what the fuck, where did he go? And he just shows up with a box of Cheez-Its. You're like, all right, this doesn't make any goddamn sense. I thought you were Houdini, now you're David Blaine. Where the fuck is my life? You want it to be in one place, all reliable, especially with how hard it was to see Risk. In the previous interview, they mentioned that they wanted to create a greater degree of freedom in combos. However, in the closed beta test, using the same move multiple times in a combo, Bandit Bringer, for example, was extremely simple and powerful. Oh yeah, all my combos were close slash 2H Bandit, close slash 2H Bandit, like, you know, just looping it, hit the wall, super. How do you intend to correct this? We really wanted to remove the concept that, for example, move A only combos into move B. However, in the beta test, there was almost no advantage to using complicated combos instead of simple, easier combos. Only one combo route left an impression, and there wasn't enough to inspire players to experiment. As far as how we fix this, I apologize, but I can't give a generalized answer. Even the stuff they showed above us in the Roman cancel section, those combos looked really cool, right? There's no way they would have done in the beta more damage than doing close slash 2H Bandit. You could just do a meterless higher damage version of essentially the exact same thing, and it was going to carry them to the corner and do 65%, 70% anyway. But yeah, it's interesting that they're thinking about it at least. Like in Rev, for instance, if you get a hit in a certain situation, you often have to think about what combo route you can do, what meter you have, like what the character's body type is, where you're confirming from on the screen. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that come up in your mind. And in this game, like, I would hit an uppercut and RC and I'd be like, cool. And I did 2H Bandit, you know, close slash 2H Bandit. Like, I was like, all right, the same combo type. At least they're thinking about that for sure. Because in the first developer's backyard, I didn't get the sense that that was the case. They were kind of like, you know, everything's all right. But now I think that answer inspires a bit more confidence. I'd like to know your intentions behind the redesigns. I'd also like to know if there's a theme behind the design of Guilty Gear Strive. Reading is tough. I'd like to know why there's so many vocal character themes in the game. Oh no, Obama asked them a question? Our intent first and foremost in making this game is to create something entirely new rather than a continuation of previous games. The reason for changing the character designs is that it makes it clear at a single glance that this is a new series within the Guilty Gear franchise. Okay, I'll be honest. One thing about the character design so far is I don't feel like they're drastically different in terms of how they play for the most part. Like, maybe they have less of the stuff. They're very similar to how they feel in the last game, at least for me. Okay, well, maybe not for chip players, I'm sorry. Maybe he's talking about visuals. As for the direction behind the character designs, my goal is to make simpler designs that are easier for players to remember. My ideal is to create designs where even if someone draws a rough sketch of them, you could tell what character they're drawing. Introducing vocals to the BGM is for the same reason, to make it completely new. For me, that doesn't mean just writing new songs, but rather taking on a challenge that could create a new era for the series. The lyrics reflect the characters' perspectives and backgrounds. Damn, they did make this just to piss off Obama. That's a great answer. I'm happy that the answer was like, yeah, we did it because it's new and different, and we wanted to piss off all you old Guilty Gear fucks. Question 4. I'm curious about these new iterations of Guilty Gear characters and their moves. Okay, so this is about the actual gameplay. Characters like Soul and Potemkin have movesets very similar to previous incarnations. Some characters like Chip, Axel, and May have lost iconic tools and have been very much redefined as characters. How are you striving to find a balance between something totally new and something recognizable in regards to characters' playstyles? Furthermore, can you offer insight as to why these moves and others have been removed? We aren't using previous titles as a base when thinking about changing the characters' moves. We're redefining each character from the ground up for this game. But at the very least, we aren't developing them with the idea of removing things from previous games. To roughly outline some of these redefinitions, he has extremely fast movement, but many of his specials are risky. Axel excels at long range, but is disadvantaged at close range. May has very simple ways to get big damage, but doesn't have very many tricks. If this is like their new design notes, isn't this the old design notes too? These are what these characters have been like for a while. They're just different in how they've done it. Maybe they've tried to make them more polarizing. Yeah, I guess maybe they just wanted to make May more simple, Axel worse up close, and Chip more dangerous. But he was still dangerous before, and dangerous thinking Hasrus, N-O-O-I-I-S-S-S-E. One thing about doing anything like this where you redesign a character and you introduce new moves and stuff is like, it's guaranteed that people who play the characters before will have a weird time switching. In fact, a lot of the times if the character is drastically different, I feel like it's better to play a different character. Yeah, dude, a lot of people struggle that way with BB Tag, right? Like when BB Tag came out, trying to play the character that they played in the original game, and BB Tag was really weird. It was like the opposite for me. Is like the characters in BB Tag I wanted to play were the characters I was interested in other games, but I was like, I don't know if I want to spend time learning them. BB Tag made it really easy, right? Especially like Yuzu. Yuzu was so simple. New air dash. Before, you've mentioned this was an attempt to add some depth and address the issue of old air dashes requiring too much practice to react to. Yeah, they're talking about late air dash, overhead low mix-ups, I'm guessing. This goal may have been accomplished, but with how poor anti-airs seem to be in relation to the strengths of jump-ins and how many options the new air dash creates, the situation still seems skewed heavily towards aggressing in the air, but with no real regards for neutral interactions and no strong way to punish this kind of play. This is something that felt very frustrating during the beta. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. Anti-airing someone felt hard, and also when you anti-aired, you had to commit to whatever you're doing after, right? Because grounded Gatlings are worse, it was very weird to try to like anti-air with something that left me in a position where I could confirm and like AA into something big unless they commit to a button. Otherwise, like, you know, you didn't really get much. It didn't feel very like easy or rewarding to try to anti-air. Even if you knew the anti-air was coming, it felt like really hard to call it out. It's not like Gear before where you'd 6p and they would explode, or you hit Soul 5k or whatever and they just die, or even 2h, which 2h was like a huge button, but like, you know, it was a lot to commit to. The feel of the air dash just isn't as clean as the old one. Maybe it's more complex, but do you think it's worth the impact of game feel and flow? Yeah, the little seal, the Devil May Cry seal that they create. First of all, as for the balance between jump-ins and grounded anti-airs, we also noticed this problem. Specifically, jump-in attacks had relatively small hurt boxes relative to their hit boxes, making it common for jump-ins to be anti-airs. We hadn't put enough work into this aspect at the time of the test, and we were planning to extend the hurt boxes of aerial attacks downwards. And after considering the pros and cons between the intuitive feeling of old air dashes and the new mechanics in this game, we have decided that the current new direction will create something more interesting than the prior version. Proceeding with the development in that direction, which means they like how this feels, they just want to tune it. Yeah, I can't tell if this game looks just different when it's paused or if they actually did adjustments to the lighting on this stage. Some people were saying that they did. It's hard to tell. This stage needs it though, right? The snowy stage, it's a little bit hard to see sometimes. I didn't hate the new air dashes. I didn't like how hard it was to anti-air people. I think that was two elements, right? One was the fact that air Gatlings feel much worse. So anti-airing someone up into the air and doing like an anti-air and combo felt weird. You had to keep them grounded with the anti-air combo. And because Gatlings on the ground are also shorter, like your anti-air confirms, you know what I mean? Like you didn't really have an easy way to confirm whatever your anti-air you're committed to. And also, yeah, just getting the anti-air to hit was hard. No, there's a few questions they address, and there's a few questions where they're like, nah. They address all of them, I guess, but some of them they're like, nah, we're good. And then other ones they actually answer, which I think is good. In the closed beta for Guilty Gear Strive, the wall break mechanic was an interesting addition. However, the increased tension was often considered not worth it by players, so they would try not to cause a wall break by not finishing their combo or not using certain moves. Are you considering changing the way wall breaks work in order to prevent this behavior, or perhaps changing the reward upon a wall break? Yeah, I can't think of very many people who are like, I love the wall break. I want the fucking pressure in the corner, but you know, we'll see what they say. This is an important question because if there are characters that ignore the wall, they're going to be really powerful and degenerate probably, right? As of the beta test, we believe that there is a greater merit to breaking the wall rather than staying in the corner. Of course, we will continue playtesting, taking your feedback into consideration and adjusting the balance before release. However, we do not intend to completely deny the choice to not break the wall. I feel that there is an element of freedom and mischief in this good sense. I don't love the wall break, but if they want it to be part of the game, people will figure out ways to optimally deal with it. You know what I mean? Like they'll figure out ways to fight around it. But like currently it's hard to not break the wall. Given that Oki in general is a bit harder to run a lot of the times, especially because when you get a hit in the corner, your hits will automatically count as like wall hits, so you'll break it very quickly. It's hard to imagine not breaking it unless you have a character that can keep you mid-screen. Yeah, this response just kind of says they want the wall breaks to happen. But with how high damage is, like to me it felt very swingy. Like there were times where I would get a hit, take him to the corner, do 60%, then a wall break, and then we'd get reset to neutral. And then in the neutral situation, like my opponent would hit me, do 60% or 70% or whatever, carry me to the wall and break the wall. And then now we're back to neutral and next hit wins the match. There's not an element of choice in what happens. It's like the wall breaks, we go back to neutral, and now you have to win the next neutral interaction. Instead of me getting a hit, carrying him to the corner, and then being able to run offense, it was like, it's you get put back in a scramble. That dynamic changes with damage nerfed. They kind of said that they weren't planning to nerf damage a ton, right? They're like, we like high damage and stuff. If the situation is you get the hit, you super them in the corner, you hard knockdown them, and then after the hard knockdown, you like get a mix up mid-screen, put them in the corner, break the wall with the super, hard knockdown. It's basically like looping Oki anyway. It just is in mid-screen instead of the corner. It looks slightly different, and it's even maybe more snowbally because you're building more meter off of the wall breaks. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, it's like Oki with more steps. But the idea behind the wall breaks is clear, right? The wall is supposed to be a barrier from preventing you from carry to the corner, put fireball, RC on them, neutral jump, air dash, or empty low or whatever, right? Late air dash, empty low, command throw, whatever, right? That's like the idea, is to prevent that kind of mix up. If super puts them mid screen with a hard knockdown and you get the Oki anyway, it's not that different, I guess. So, like in this situation where Kai is, where he's stuck on the wall, if you don't hit him, he pops off the wall back towards mid screen. It's not like, oh yeah, he's just gonna slide off the wall and then I'll go overhead or low or whatever. He just goes whoop and he like slip and slides out of the corner. The problem is though, even if you stop a hit before the splat, what ends up happening, right, is when you hit them, the next hit will just splat them because the wall has like a certain amount of hits until it breaks.
Listen, I can't stand that kid Sajam. Anytime I eat a sandwich, people can be like, oh, you're a Sajam fan now?
First of all, can I just say, fuck Sajam? Hey, fuck you, bitch. You wanna fight? Meet me outside. 10 minutes. I'll roll your ass. And I'll eat a sandwich at the same time. You ain't got shit, bitch. Fuck social distancing. I'll whoop his ass from 6 feet away.